Now, before the video starts, I do have to say that since it has been a little while since I did this series, you might want to check up on part 1 and 2 since this is a third part. So that's just a fair warning because we will get right into it and I won't do a conclusion of what happened before. So, if you forgot what happened, watch those parts before watching this. Anyways, let's go. What if Naruto was a prodigy part 3? Let's go. Now, Naruto, being somewhat appalled at the three boys' behavior, wants to get stronger, as for something like this not to happen to himself, or for someone that he cared for, as Kurama did tell him that in the future he will find people that he does care about, and so he doesn't want them to get pushed around like the girl did. Naruto needs to get stronger, and he also wants to get that special eye, the white one, as well as the Sharingan, though the Sharingan he's not quite sure. Kurama told him many bad things about the eye, how it takes people and drives them into madness, turns them to their dark side, and how the eye flourishes on negative emotions, sadness, anger, depression. Naruto didn't want that, but when he heard that the other one, the white eye, the so-called Byakugan, is a peaceful power, one that only needs concentration, no specific emotion, he much more wanted that one. And from what he heard, it's actually quite powerful. Now, Kurama did say that the Sharingan is more powerful, and if you master it, you can even control a tailed beast, as he was controlled a few years ago. The Byakugan, if used correctly, is still very strong. That's what Kurama says at least. Obviously Naruto doesn't know. So Naruto trained. He trained his eyes, he trained his concentration, and was always motivated. He didn't see much results, but he still stayed motivated. Which, by the way, quick note from me, is something that I struggle with a lot. So I kind of just wanted to have Naruto be able to do that, just because why not? Anyways, back to the story. Now we skip forward, quite a bit actually, to when Naruto is about 6, and here he is much stronger. Here we see him fighting against a special type of enemy, and actually, it's some of his own enemies. And what I mean by that is that he made them himself. Now, Kurama obviously taught Naruto many tactics and techniques and jutsu, one of them being the clone. But with time, Naruto and Kurama together developed a special type clone that actually has physical traits. As normal clones are like mist, you can never really touch them and they won't do anything. But the clones that Naruto somehow made with the help of Kurama's chakra and knowledge are physical ones. If they punch you, you'll feel it. And they mirror Naruto's strength. Now obviously not 100%, but if Naruto gets stronger, the clones get stronger as well. Now usually he would use these, of course, as help for him to fight whatever he needs to fight, but he can use them as training as well and turn the clones against him, as he does have full control over the clones and what they do. Obviously, they're not real people. Now these clones each go out in 3 hits and they aren't particularly powerful, but if there's, let's say, 50 of them, it can be a challenge. And Naruto fights more and more every day, and obviously they ramp up in strength as well. So really Naruto's training gets progressively harder and harder exponentially, if that makes sense at all. But anyways, Naruto has full control of the situation and is able to test out any techniques. Even if they would be a deadly blow, these clones don't feel anything. And since they're not real people, if he would theoretically kill one of them, nothing happens. They poof away into smoke, and that's it. So even an ability which became his finishing move, one that Kurama taught him as well, where he combines his chakra into a ball similar to the Biju bomb that the tailed beasts use, and focuses his in his two hands, he's then able to punch the air, basically, and a ray of chakra comes out. Now he punches with an open fist, so basically the chakra ball in his hand goes flying, but it looks like a ray of chakra because it's so fast. If that makes sense. Basically, it's a weaker version, much weaker version, of the Biju Dama. And it's also black with that purplish aura. So it looks the same, but it's much weaker, basically. And this ability is actually able to take out multiple enemies at once, as when it goes through one opponent, it continues and blasts anything in its path, and even after destroying 5 clones, which each of them can, by the way, normally take 3 punches of Naruto. Even after destroying 5 clones in one shot, it destroys a whole tree afterwards, leaving it burning. So this attack is quite powerful, and it wasn't even with Naruto's full strength. So yeah, he ramped up his power by quite a bit. He also made much more kunai, which he practices throwing against moving clones, against sitting stand-on targets, and whatever. And obviously he still needs to hunt to get food, or pick berries, or whatever. But he can actually nowadays let his clones do that for him, so much less work. But sometimes Kurama actually wants him to do the hard work, just so he doesn't forget that he's in the jungle. Not really in the jungle, but Kurama likes to say that, because it sounds more ominous. Kurama at this point basically has become like a father to Naruto, and is much more keen on having human friends. Now obviously he's still very wary, and Naruto is basically an exception, but still, it could happen in the future. He'd be much more open to it than he was, let's say, 5 years ago. So anyways, all that blah blah blah, Naruto got stronger. But he also matured emotionally and physically. He got taller, physically stronger. But yeah, he's mature emotionally, and learned a lot of things with Kurama's help and even without. He learned much more history from Kurama, especially about the world, about the village, about the tailed beasts, and all that in much more detail, and some things that would have probably been too scary for a child 2 years ago. Naruto even said that he would be ready to go back to the village and see if they might accept him now, but Kurama is wary. Kurama says we should still wait. And also, I once heard whilst your mother was my host, I once heard that the academy only starts when you're 8. And according to my calendar, you're only 6. So we'll have to wait a little more. And at first, Naruto actually thought that he was lying. Not with any evil intent, but Naruto actually thought that Kurama was just so wary of the village that he made up things for Naruto to wait more. But after 2 months, he had started to believe Kurama. So he would still have to wait 2 more years. But perhaps that was a good thing. Perhaps that would give the villagers time to forget and forgive, as well as Naruto to get stronger in case something were to happen. Naruto and Kurama both knew that if anything happened, they were on their own. Well, obviously they had each other, but no one else. There was no one that would accept them, except perhaps the other tailed beasts, but none that were in this village. And so they had to fend for themselves. So getting stronger was a must. But that's gonna be for today's video. Hope you enjoyed. Make sure to like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace!